Let me walk you through this horror environment I created using the simple assets we created last time. Hello fantastic people, I hope you are doing great. Today I would like to show you my process of creating different types of environments. By no means it is the best one or the most professional one, but it allows me to create interesting environments which people seem to like. I start by dragging the models into the scene. And by the way, just wanted to let you know that this asset pack is available for you completely for free in the GitHub repository linked in the description. If you think the pack or this video will be useful, please consider subscribing to my channel and liking this video. This pleases the algorithm gods and makes this video available for a larger number of people. After I drag the assets into the scene, I make sure all of them are correctly named. This makes my life easier later. Then I turn each individual one into a prefab. When I start creating the environment, I like to think about the real life and real world. This will be an office of a very small tech company. So first I'm asking myself, what rooms are generally in place like that? If I don't know, I start by research. I look for references online, maybe read some articles, and of course chat a little bit with ChatGPT. This gives me the initial idea. I do that even before bringing assets into Unity, because this allows me to decide what assets I will need long term. Do I create all of them? No, definitely not. But it's good to have the core of the assets so I can get the general idea. In this particular office there will be a corridor with reception, a small open space, devastated conference room, and of course boss office. If I would have the assets, I would add also a toilet and maybe a coffee room. As I like to get the general idea of the atmosphere I will have in my game, I avoid grayboxing using boring cubes. But this stage I'm doing now is nothing more than grayboxing. I start by placing floors and walls. Then while holding right mouse key, I just walk around all the place to see if the proportions are right, if no room is too big or too small. In this environment, I want to give a feeling that the farther you go, the more claustrophobic it is. So the corridor is quite spacious. The following rooms are either smaller or will be filled with items to make the room feel crowded. Once the floors and walls are there, I start placing larger props. I always ask myself, what story do I want this place to tell? Who works here and why? The reception desk is there. It's the first thing that the player will see while entering this place. I want it to look normal, like nothing unusual is going on here. Then I use the office wall to strategically hide some elements. I don't want the player to see this table immediately. In game, there could be something on it, maybe a key, maybe a book. But the real question is, who's isolated here? Who works on such a small table? Or maybe it's just a place where you can comfortably eat. But why wouldn't you eat by your own desk? Then I'm building a second area, also hidden behind those little walls. Why am I doing that? The answer is simple. Both places behind the walls tell a little bit of story. They are special places and I don't want player to see them immediately, just by looking around. I want the player to be rewarded for exploring. It also gives a clear separation to those areas. When player explores them and tries to find something there, he can build a mind map of the place. And in case he needs to go back there later, he can quickly recall the special elements there. Like, it's the subroom with the tiny table, or the subroom with many screens in the corner. This place has another special thing. And no, I'm not talking about the fact it is devastated. Behind it, there's a door, and this door would be closed in game. So the player could think about the relationship between them. What's there? And how is it related to all the mess here? Now I move to the boss room. Again, I think about the reality. What things and where would they be? This place is also devastated, but with the boss chair completely intact and in the right place. This is a central room to the story of this place. So once we add ceiling, I'm going to come back here and add some extra details. Now it's time to move to the conference room. This place has a door, but because I want the player to explore the rooms in certain order, this door is going to be locked, or rather completely obstructed by the furniture. I will leave the door slightly open to allow the player peek inside. Then, because it is a conference room, it needs multiple chairs and of course a big table. A small place for a coffee machine, unfortunately without a coffee machine. I forgot to put it now, but I do also have a small canvas for the projector to display things on. Now let's move to the small open space. This room is going to look completely normal, like nothing ever happened here. I place desks, chairs and computers. One guy, just like me, likes to have two screens. Though I promise, I don't work there. It's time to add doors. The doors between the conference room and the open space are going to be removed and placed against the wall. This gives a clear explanation of why the doors are open, but also has some other benefits. If there would be an enemy or an NPC, we couldn't simply close the doors. Also, I want the players to be able to straight away see the contrast between the normality of the open space and the weirdness of the conference room. I know, at this moment it all looks normal and sometimes even slightly boring. But once we add lights and post-processing, everything is going to change. Trust me. Now the doors for the conference room. And as I say, they are slightly open. Then completely closed doors to the boss room. Then I add the open doors between the open space and the corridor, and then between conference room and the boss room. Ultimately they will be closed, and the player will be able to open them using a simple interaction script. You can use for that a simple script triggering, for example, an animation. Have a look at this tutorial. Now I add ceiling. This is very quick and very simple. Now it's time to add a little bit of lights. Again, because I want the reception to feel normal, I just add the regular lights. For the light components, I use the spotlight. Those create those beautiful rings on the floor. Now I create a variant for a broken light. Now I disable completely the environment lighting. This gives me a general idea of how it will look like in-game. Now I also enable shadows. For this tutorial I'm just going to keep it like that, but normally it would be best to bake the lighting. Sooner or later I will make a tutorial about that too. The conference room, as said, is very close to the central place where strange things happen, so I'm adding there a little bit of red lights. This light will be also visible from outside, or rather from the corridor. This will add a lot of mystery and an unsettling feeling. Before you start adding lights, it's worth to look at the images from your favorite horrors, especially those that give the vibe that you want your game to give. Then the messy area next to the boss office. It also deserves its own red light. Now, completely red lighting for the boss room. And the special touch I wanted to add. A lot of keyboards hanging from the ceiling. Now, I don't have any skybox that I could use, so I wanted to block the light from outside and the view on the default skybox using some planes. However, this looked terrible. So after adding some extra lights, I decided to make a very simple shader graph. Just an animated Voronoi noise with a little bit of color. I make sure that the environmental lighting comes not from the skybox, but from a gradient. Because I used the red lights as the main theme, I am going to make the environmental light also red. Then, to make it look even creepier, I'm going to add fog. It's going to be quite dense and purple. This way it will look like connected to the Voronoi noise outside the windows. And now the final post-processing. I adjust the bloom to make all the lights a little bit glowing. It will be especially important with the red point lights I added. Then I adjust the vignette and make it a lot heavier. Every couple of minutes I test walk through the rooms to make sure I like the vibe. There is still something little missing, I felt, so I decided to add a little bit of chromatic aberration. Oh, this is exactly what I was going for. So let's have a look at how it looks after putting it all together with the FPS controller and interactions for doors. Important question to you. What happened in this place? Tell me in comments, what do you think? I hope you liked this slightly different tutorial. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And of course, join our fantastic game dev community Discord server. Have a fantastic day, love you and bye bye.